stock up, stock down for the U.S. men's national team. We've seen this group for 3 games through the group stages. We might be able to factor in the 2 friendlies if we want. I don't know how far we want to extend this, but we got 5 games over the last 2 or 3 weeks to kind of survey the landscape. So Big Tones, I'm coming to you first. We're going stock up. Who do you think has taken their opportunity and built upon it? Maybe not crushed it, but at least laid a good foundation for their future involvement in the U.S. in the Gold Cup and obviously past the Gold Cup as well?
I'm going to go with Alex Freeman, the youngster, playing it right back, getting his first opportunity ever with the U.S. men's national team this month. And he's grown in Orlando City. We've been watching him play. I would like to see him get forward a little bit more because I think that's one of the qualities that he actually brings to the game in a different way, in a more calculated way than maybe a Serginho Dest does, who is forward first thinking. He's a guy he picks and chooses his chances, but it doesn't look like that's how he's being deployed here with this group. And we've seen this from Pochettino before, but I think he's done a really good job. Look, your first time with the national team, first competition. I don't think he's got a bag full of mistakes that he's made here. He's made a couple, but 1v1 he's been decent. He's been good with the ball. A couple of really good passes in the Saudi Arabia game, if you remember, especially late in the game around the corner. So I'm gonna go with Alex Freeman.
All right, so you're bullish on Alex Freeman. I will say this will be a good test for him against the Ticos because, to your point, they're going to probably start an 18-year-old at the left back position. So whoever he can partner with, whether it's Jack McGlynn or another option for the U.S., can they create some numerical advantages and really start to make that 18-year-old suffer, as it were, because he lacks the experience at this particular level. Of course, Freeman, we could argue, doesn't have as much experience either. And then he's going to have to figure out a way to defend Alcacer or Aguilera, who I think are both good players for the Ticos, both 20 and 21 respectively. So should be some good matchups for Freeman. How about you, Chuck? Stock up. What do you got?
Yeah, this one was tough, and I loved your pick, Tony. I was fusing between Berhalter and Tillman, and for me, I think I'm going to go Tillman just because Berhalter stock's definitely up, no doubt, but I think we're talking about expectations and quality and Pochettino going, man, this guy can be special, potential starter in next summer's World Cup. I'm going to go with Malik Tillman. We're starting to see a little bit more from him. And I know he has a lot more to give. That's the thing, too. When we see some of the things he's able to do with PSV and now he's being linked to some bigger clubs, I get excited about his creativity and his ability to unlock some of our wingers when we do have Christian Pulisic and Timothy Weah on the pitch and Weston McKennie. He has got great vision, even finding Anthony Robinson or Serginho Dest when they're making their runs forward or they're already taking up space higher up the pitch. I'm optimistic that Pochettino finally has been able to give him the freedom, the confidence to go out there and do his thing, and he's adjusted to the pace and the almost the tendencies of the players around him.
Yeah, what I love too is that Mauricio Pochettino has been praising his defensive work. So clearly doing it on both sides of the ball, and especially at this level, you're going to have to put in a shift on both sides to raise your value. Tones, I'm actually going to before I move on to my stock up, let's talk Tillman a little bit. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's benefited from maybe some of the bigger names on our team not being around, so he could assume that responsibility in a way? Because if Christian was there, not to say that he still wouldn't look for those pockets of space, but maybe those pockets of space aren't open, or he maybe doesn't feel as compelled to step into it because he wants to make sure that Christian or Tim Weah or whoever it may be has those areas to do what they're going to do. And now he can stand out a little bit more so he can be the main guy or one of the main guys.
Wow, it's a tough one for me, Jimmy, because I'd like to say I hope not.
Yeah, right.
Because those other guys are going to be there, right, in the end. That's kind of why I say I hope not. The answer is probably yes, right, because now you're asked to take a little bit more responsibility, take a little bit more of the load in the attacking part of the field. But I hope that when the full team is there and all those guys you mentioned are with the group, that you can still get the same production out of him and still be quality in everything you do. The ball might be spread out a little bit more, right? It might be on some other people's feet a little bit more. But I think what we saw from Tillman There just wasn't the finished product when he was with the first team, where I feel like now it's, I keep saying the first team. I think the listeners and viewers know what we mean, right? It's not a slight on anybody. We're just trying to paint a picture, because I really hate that term. But you look at him and you want this quality of play when he's with everybody. But
right.
I guess the short answer is yes. The long answer is I hope not. And hopefully I just explained it. Why?
I would say, though, because of the standards that he's demonstrated at the club level and what we know he's capable of, now in this game against Costa Rica, potentially Canada, potentially Mexico after that, we need him to almost step up even more, right? Take the game over and make those decisive plays, especially on the attacking side, if they're sitting in a low block in particular, to ultimately win us a game. And we saw that. I mean, him scoring that goal early on against Haiti allowed us to breathe, allowed us to relax and get into the game a little bit. Of course, we gave up that lead, but that was a sign of what I think he's capable of and can help us in different ways. Getting to the back post to head a ball in, that's not always what I'm thinking about with Tillman, right? I'm thinking about other areas of the game that he can help us. All right, my players stock up. Chris Richards, shout out to my center back union here. He's been tremendous in each game. I thought he's demonstrated something a little bit different. When you're playing against a team like Trinidad in game one, you are so much in control. You got to stay focused and switched on the whole time. We get a clean sheet in that game. They had one or two opportunities where we maybe could have done better. Maybe he could have closed the spaces. Angles could have been better. But overall, I like that game. Then you move on to our next one against Saudi Arabia. Had a game-saving tackle on a mistake that we had. A lot of our mistakes have been self-inflicted, right? So it hasn't been anybody really breaking us down, which I think speaks to the organization and the rapport he's built with Tim Ream. And so he makes a game-saving tackle there and then scores on a set piece. Obviously, man of the match performance and really proud of him against a good, solid opponent. And then in the last game against Haiti, he wasn't at fault for the goal, wasn't really involved, but, again, demonstrating that he's starting to settle into the position, making it his own, feeling more comfortable. I think we're doing a nice job of when to step and when to drop and how we're pressing. I think a lot of that communication has to come from the center back position. And I've been really also impressed with his line-breaking passes. He's been very good and consistently good at trying to find those passes that bypass the midfield but can find a striker. The striker can lay it off, and then we can kind of set our attack from there. So more of that, please, from Chris Richards. But I think his stock has gone up, and I think he's really cemented his position as one of our starting center backs in the World Cup as it stands right now. Obviously, we got some big games in this tournament remaining where he has to continue to demonstrate that, and then obviously in friendlies moving forward.
It's only going to get harder.
It only gets harder. It only gets harder. Yeah. And so now we're going to continue. But I think very similar to Tillman, Chuck, is that, okay, our standards are high. Now we're like, okay, cool. We've seen it at the group stages. Let's see it now against some better opponents, because obviously when we played Switzerland and Turkey, it wasn't good enough in certain areas. Okay. Let's go stock down. I'm going to you first, Chuck, on this. Who do you think has hurt themselves over the last couple of weeks?
You know what? I don't know if they've hurt themselves over the last couple of weeks, but when I look at this, because it wasn't easy to find stock down, but I think when we're talking about expectations and guys who have had a relatively good season, I think of guys who played the entire season. I'm looking at Brenden Aaronson, who comes into this camp. He started in the number 10 role.
Got to start.
Yeah. and was in the first sub off. And not only that, Jack McGlynn is a starter. So Diego Luna and Jack McGlynn are the starters, and Malik Tillman's the 10. So for someone who played all year, promoted to Premier League, and is now coming into this camp, and you're a substitute, that for me, and then you're first yanked out of the game, and he outside of the assist, which was a beautiful assist. I give Brenden Aaronson a ton of credit. His stock is down, and Johnny Cardoso would probably be the other one. I was choosing between the two. Johnny Cardoso has really had a tough going, but I think Brenden Aaronson for me is one that I would have thought this would have been an opportunity for him to gain some ground, and it seems to me that he hasn't moved forward.
All right, I'm going to pick up the baton there because it's a nice segue, Tones. I was going to come to you, but I'm going to say Johnny Cardoso is my pick for stock down. Obviously, he didn't create a lot of good momentum coming into the Gold Cup after that mistake in the Turkey game, and he seems to have lacked confidence. When I see him play, just does he really want the ball at times? Even when he came on against Haiti in the last game, there was this pass that just was it just was iffy, you know? And I know that he's got a lot going on off the field. There's a lot of talk around him leaving Real Betis to go to Atletico Madrid and potentially other destinations. That might be a bit of a distraction, but still, it can't take away from the fact that when it's time to perform, you need to perform. And I don't think he's taking his chance with both hands, right? And making like putting his stamp on it, like we're talking about some of the other players in the stock up, Chris Richards in particular, where this is my spot. I'm not going to lose it, or I'm going to make it very difficult for you to take me off the field. And I don't think he's put together that type of performance, which is honestly quite surprising. Because if we're talking about standards and using Brenden Aaronson as an example here, Chuck, and the way, like, hey, yeah, he's been playing at this level. I expect to see him at this level or better for the national team. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Johnny qualifies for that either. And I think he's been a little bit underwhelming. And I'm disappointed for him because he's obviously built up some really nice momentum at the club level. And it just hasn't translated to the national team. All right. How about you, Big Tones?
Yeah, so I took it a little bit differently. I went to a guy that we haven't seen play in the competition. That's Mark McKenzie. His last minutes, I believe, were against Switzerland. He started with Zimmerman, right, against Switzerland in that match. Now, didn't he come
in as a substitute in?
Yeah, like
he may have Saudi Arabia game, I believe. He came in as
he may have come in, but I mean, any significant minutes? It doesn't look like he came in Saudi Arabia. No, I just pulled that one up, and I'll continue to check. But a guy that we came into this camp. Look how we were praising him when he made the move, right? Look where he. So he played 17 minutes in that first Trinidad game. So essentially, essentially he hasn't played the whole tournament.
Right.
I thought he would be the starting back with Chris McKenzie. Miles Robinson gets minutes before him, and I thought his trajectory was going this way. Maybe he's not convincing Mauricio Pochettino right now that he's the guy for them. So Mark McKenzie for me gets a stock down, and we haven't seen him play in the competition, right?
No,
we haven't seen him at all. So. Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it. Because Chuck, I think you're right. I think you said it. It's hard to find a lot of stock down in this competition so far.
Look at you getting to the end of the video. All right, very proud of you. Now, if you want more average to good content, this is your channel. Go look at other videos, playlists. We have it all figured out. For more of the good stuff, then you got to make sure you hit like on this video, hit subscribe so you don't miss anything, and then turn on your notifications so you know when we're going live or if anything drops right when it comes out. We'd really appreciate it. See you next time.